Much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration. It really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan today, Susie Wargin. Susan, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate you.
Absolutely, Greg. Yeah.
I'm really excited about this one. I know there's a lot of buzz and anticipation to just dive in, really get to know you as a person, as a professional, the impact that you've had on the community. I'm really stoked about it. So
thank you. Thank you.
But,
it's good to be here.
Yeah, let's just dive in if you're okay.
Sure, absolutely.
So tell everybody a little about yourself.
A little bit about me. All right, fourth generation Coloradan. So native times a lot, actually. Grew up in Broomfield, Colorado. Went to Colorado State University in Fort Collins. Graduated from CSU with a degree in speech communications with an emphasis in radio and TV. So I have been this is my second career, real estate is. So I've done radio and TV for over a couple of decades, still do radio right now. Been in real estate going into my sixth year. My mom has been an agent for over 40 years up in the North area, so she was one of the very first female agents asked to be in RE/MAX in 1976.
Wow.
So it's been kind of a cool process. I never thought I wanted to be a realtor because my mom was always one, but here I am, and loving it. I love it.
That's a huge background. I want to dive a little bit deeper into.
Was that enough?
Yeah, there was enough in there.
Did I give you something to work with?
That was it.
Okay,
I think
good,
that's great.
good.
I do want to discuss the radio and television
Sure.
before we dive into the real estate. So
Absolutely.
Initially, what was your thought to get involved in that field?
Oh, I wanted to be a DJ since I was a little kid.
Okay.
So when I was younger, I used to record KBPI at night. That was my rock station growing up, and I would record Steve Cooper, who was the nighttime DJ, and I would play back his top 8 at 8. I would pretend I was him. He was my idol. One day I eventually took over his shift because he got moved to another station, and I took over his spot, which was really surreal to me. So my mom wanted me to go into TV, and so of course I went into radio because we always spite our mothers and what we want. And I didn't want to wear makeup, I didn't want to dress nice, so I was like, radio is where it is. So I interned at KTCL when I was up in Fort Collins. At that time it was in Fort Collins, now it's down here in the tech center.
Okay.
But and then did radio for many years. I was at KTCL for quite a long time, worked at KBPI for 9 years, did the middays, and then had the opportunity. I also worked at KOA at 850 KOA. I was the first full-time female sports reporter for them. Then eventually made my mom happy and went into TV and did sports broadcasting and TV for 13 years.
Unbelievable.
And now I'm back in radio at the Fox doing middays on the classic rock station here in Denver.
Okay. Now, what was your preference into the two? So obviously radio and TV. I mean, do you have a love-hate relationship either way? Do you have a preference?
Good question, because I love both of them, but being back in radio made me realize how much I missed radio, and I love music. I love the talk radio aspect of things. So, but I really love, I mean, my original love was music. I love music, but I also love sports. So to be able to, do something with music, do something with sports was really, really fun. And in TV, I got to go do so many cool things. I mean, I went on I went to 2 Super Bowls. I went to the Vancouver Olympics for a month. I went to the World Series when the Rockies were in the World Series. I went to the Frozen Four with DU. I mean, unbelievable opportunities that I was able to do. But I also worked a lot, and I had 2 little kids and a husband. And so I sacrificed a lot. Hence, the reason I got into real estate was to have kind of that life career change where I needed to take back control of my life, my schedule, and when that happened, when I told the TV station I wasn't going to be coming back, the radio station contacted me and said, will you come back to radio? And I said,
please.
Well, wait a minute, I'm trying to build up my real estate career. And they said, no, we'll make it really easy. And so it's been wonderful. I've been back at iHeartMedia now for, I guess, 4 years, and it's been awesome. So it's been fun. It's been they've been able to allow me to balance being a full-time real estate agent and still being on the air and doing my thing there.
Okay, so that was beautiful, insight into that background too. But let's go into the real estate side, and you already addressed that with your family, and that sort of thing. But what was the initial push and the thought process in your progression of career for these past 6 years in real estate? I mean, what was really that driving force to get you in? And then, what was your progression in your career?
Well, my mom always said she wanted me to be in real estate.
Sure.
So, we had lunch every year on her birthday and my birthday, January and June. And
Awesome.
every time we get together, you should be in real estate. And I was like, Mom, I love what I'm doing. I love TV, love this, love that.
Sure.
But there were just a couple of instances where I really felt like I had no control over my schedule and I was going to do things and really sacrificing time with my family.
Okay.
And that's where I just realized I need to make sure that I'm taking care of me and my family. I want to spend more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
And as they got older, when they were little kids, yes, it's important to be with them. But I found that as they were teenagers, it was so much more important to spend time, do the carpool, get to know the friends, and we have great relationships, and I mean, blessed, we're, knock on wood, we have amazing kids. We've got a son up at Colorado State now that's a freshman and a girl that's a junior at Highlands Ranch High School, and a lot of it's we've been around a lot, and I volunteer for a lot of stuff at school. I do PA for the football games. When I get in, Greg.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
you'll learn that about me here.
For
So
sure.
I don't just kind of do things halfway, and so that was really the. I knew I could do it. I didn't know kind of how to start it. I knew I had a great mentor with my mom.
Okay.
So that was huge that I knew any question I had, I could call her, and she's probably had that same question 50 times because she's been in the business for so long.
Right.
So it helped a lot to know that I had somebody who I could call all the time. I had a wonderful managing broker as well. So when I went through real estate school, I did interview with different agencies. I told my mom, I said, I'm not just going to go to RE/MAX Alliance because that's where you are. I'm going to do my due diligence. And I got together with 2 other companies, and then RE/MAX Alliance offered me a great deal. And she's like, they gave you that deal? I said,
well, negotiator.
Yeah, so we're in the same, she's RE/MAX Alliance Westminster, I'm in the tech center. We aren't partners together,
Okay.
but we refer people back and forth just because geographically it makes sense. She's up north, I'm south, and it works really, really well. And I've given her a lot of tools throughout this time because I've made these checklists. I'm technology-wise a little bit farther ahead with some of the documents and things like that. She'll be like, ooh, could we put my name on the top of that and I could use that? And I was like, sure, why not? So we really worked well with each other as far as that goes, and kind of giving each other some ideas, marketing and things like that. And she's the master. She's amazing, and she has done some really, really great things throughout her career, and she's still going. She's 72 and going.
That's huge. Hey,
Yeah.
Mom, if you're watching.
Right, hi, Mom.
I love that, attitude and mentality is you did your due diligence and research, and it was for the right reasons. And to me, I don't find a higher reason or why than family. And that's kind of segueing into the next question is, really, Susie, what's your why? I mean, what motivates you to do what you do to the level that you do it at?
Right. Well, it started with that for the career change, but then once I got into it, I had no idea. I had no idea you had to also be a counselor. You pretty much become a part-time counselor to clients, which was fine. I was like, oh, wow. Because it's a very emotional process, buying and selling a home, and emotions are sky high for everyone. You have to really try and balance out, okay, listen, here's probably what they're thinking. I understand where you're coming from, but here's what the other side is as well. Let's see if we can kind of figure out how to, inspections, that's a huge thing. But just kind of working with people, and when I worked at the TV station, I did a lot. One of my favorite things to do was do feature stories and get to know people and do cool stories about struggles or, getting to know pro athletes better, things like that. And so now, and that was to a mass audience. And now I get to work with people, mostly my friends who I hadn't seen for years because I was working, basically an overnight shift at the TV stations. I had to be there at 3 a.m. So I had no social life. So I'm like, wow, now I get to see my friends and work with my friends all the time and help them with these huge financial things that are going on in their life with the house. So that has been fun to get to re-know a lot of friends and also family. And then from there, it's expanded because they're like, man, you did a good job. And it's, kind of grown out, and it was hard the first couple of years, I think, just to get people to trust me in a, I can, read a box score and tell you what happened in the game last night, but can I do a net proceeds sheet? So just to kind of say, yeah, I can do that, and for me to also have the confidence of, yes, I can do this, I know the process. The first year was a little, there's times where you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to do that. Sorry, we forgot to do our walkthrough. My bad. And so now I've got this crazy checklist, and I don't forget those things. But I think that happens to any new agent where,
correct.
It's just, it's hard to remember. There are so many steps, and a lot of people don't realize everything that an agent does. And so I have this killer checklist that my mom has also stolen in the meantime, but that's okay. You know what?
What's family
it's good.
for?
It's
Come
family,
on.
exactly. So, so I really enjoyed watching, and I didn't know this would happen, and this has been a great part of this industry, helping people either achieve being a homeowner, especially first-time home buyers. That's wonderful. I love doing that. Or getting into a new neighborhood, and all of a sudden their entire family dynamic changes because now they've got different neighbors and they have the community pool, and they're like, our life is completely changed because we're in this house. And it's like, just doing those little things and helping people get to different places, or they've invested in their home and they've paid on it for a long time, and then they realize this great gain and now they're going to Arizona to retire. Helping them get to the next page or chapter of their life has been very fulfilling and very cool. I've loved that.
I think that's huge, and if everybody out there who's actually paying attention to this, and the subscribers and the love and support, if you're feeling the energy that's coming through the camera right now through Susie, it's fantastic. You can obviously tell you're passionate about what you do, and you love who you represent in the marketplace and what you're accomplishing. I love the fact that you showcase a little bit of vulnerability at the beginning of your career, at least sharing with everybody that, look, we all start somewhere, and even with your personality, your charisma and energy that you have, and the well-known nature of your brand,
right? You
still had to work at the beginning, right? And go through the struggles and
build up the confidence to know that, okay, yes, I can do this. Because I've done the radio and TV thing for so long, and everyone's like, I love watching you. I'd make mistakes, but you get to where you really are very careful about the things that you say. You check your facts. You do this. You do that.
Sure.
You get into a new industry, and numbers are flying all over the place, and you take classes where you hear these horror stories of people that go up in front of the commission, and you're like, oh my gosh, don't ever let that be me. I don't want to do that. So you're scared to death of like all these things that could happen, so you're ultra careful, and then even still then some things slip through the cracks. So you just you do your best, and do I know everything after 5.5 years in? Heck no. Does my mom know everything after 42? No, we never know, because things are always changing. We have a brand new contract in 2019, and now we've got to change, lead-based paint is different, and there's, everybody's like, oh gosh, now I got to get used to new different things, and you're trying to explain to clients, you're like, but it wasn't like this a week ago, so hold on, let me get this going, and we'll get it figured out. Yeah.
I love that. There's an old adage that the only thing consistent in this life and in this world is change.
Yeah.
It's just constantly changing. The real estate transaction is no different, and life is no different. So I think that you got to have the right people on your side to really guide you through that process, and that's just really huge stuff. Now, let's go into the advisory portion, because I think this is a great segue into that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the viewers of this particular series, they really want to know what the Titans are doing to grow their business, how they've had the success, whether it was a long-stint career or a shorter time frame. So, Susie, if you could look back at your career thus far, pick or choose maybe one or two things that you added to your business that took it from one level to the next. What does that look like for you?
So, one of the most important things that I did, and I started doing this, I think it was 3 years ago maybe, where I, at the end of the year, looked back at my entire line of business for that year, and I wrote down, how did I get each transaction? Was it a referral? Was it and the last 2 years, it's been about 90% referrals.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, why am I farming my neighborhood, where I have lived for now 19 years?
Okay.
And I do know a lot of people in there, but I got zero from farming the neighborhood.
Zero.
Nothing. So, and I know you have to do it for a very long time, but I thought, okay, I'm wasting my money sending out postcards to just, it's like cold calling with postcards.
Correct.
No. So I thought, I need to focus on the people I know, because that is where all of my business is coming from. And so I do that. I send out, I do HomeBot, which is a lending kind of program. I do that every single month as far as an email goes. Completely hands off. You can partner up with a lender and do that for not very much a month, like $25 a month is all I pay for it.
Okay.
And then I will do a nice notepad every year. I write on every notepad. I have 300 people, and I try and keep it like at 300. That seems like a good amount. And so every year I'll go through, and if I'm a little above, I'll look back and say, okay, here's some people that I put on my sphere at the very beginning that I don't really know very well, haven't talked to them in 6 years, I'm going to take them off.
Right.
And add in those people that I know I either worked with directly or they've referred me, something like that. So, and then I do, I send out pizza cutters, I do a ton of, not a ton of promotional stuff, but I keep it to my sphere, and I send out good stuff that they use. These pizza cutters that I send out, people tell me all the time, like, can I get another one? Because my one is always in the dishwasher because the kids are using it to cut the quesadillas. They're using and there's my logo, getting all over the counter, and it's in the dishwasher. Every time they empty the dishwasher, there's my name.
Love it. Every pizza night, everybody. That's happening at least once a week. Let's be real.
You can use these things to cut literally anything, or they're awesome. And people are like, oh, these are great. I love them. And so I have ones. I went to CSU, so I have ones that they're green and they say "Go Rams" on the back. So anybody that has a CSU tie, I send them that. Yeah. The only place I do farm that I have had great success with is the kids' high school.
Okay.
Because I am so involved, I'm on a lot of committees. My daughter does POMs. I'm on the after prom committee. I am involved with the basketball and football teams as far as sponsorships go, but that's because my dollars that go to that also benefit the programs and the schools. I advertise in the school newspaper because I was a speech communication major, so the journalism part of it. So I have things that are very important to me personally as far as journalism and sports, and so I give them money. My name goes up there, but the money isn't just going to, grab leads somewhere and go to somebody's bottom line. It's going to a bottom line with a program. And then and what's funny, I thought I would get more parents that would contact me. I get teachers. And once you get in with the teachers, it's like a lot of industries. If you get in tight with a group, all of a sudden, and so I've had multiple teachers and also recommendations from teachers. Some of the administration, when new teachers come in, they're like, call Susie. She'll help you out. And I'm like, gosh, I had no idea. I thought it would be people in the community, parents of students that would see stuff, but it's been the people that work at the school, which has been wonderful. But they see me there all the time. They know I help out. They know that, I'm genuinely, a proponent of the school, and so they support me as well, which is great.
I think that, first of all, there's tons of information there, so hopefully everybody's writing that down. I mean, rewind this, listen to it if you're listening to the podcast, if you get to this point. But I think that there's so much great information. It's talking about really being real and genuine in your nature. Be passionate about what you do. Don't just be a part of a group or support an advertising campaign that doesn't mean anything to you. Right. You're involved in the school. You're involved with your kids. That makes sense. And I think that what I like to consider it as a multimedia campaign, because you're physically involved. You're physically there.
Right.
And you're spending the money for good causes that's going to reciprocate that way. I think that's intelligent. There's so many professionals out there that just dump money everywhere and they hope that it works out, but they're not really being effective if you're not physically in front of somebody. Marketing and advertisement to me is a waste if you're not really utilizing what true nature of business is people. This is a people business. Shaking hands, getting involved in community, face-to-face meetings, that's never going to be replaced with a TV ad or a billboard spot, right? It all comes together to work. So obviously this is living proof right here. You're doing it the right way and it actually works out. But they're strategically looking at it and being true, I think, is huge in nature. So again, hopefully everyone wrote that down. That was huge, huge, huge advice. So Susie, this is, going into the next question when it comes down to it, this is always the tricky one. A lot of professionals and consumers that watch this, they really get a deeper knowledge of that feature Titan through the challenge question. We all deal with challenges in our life. No one's exempt, whether it's in the past, now, or in the future. It's not so much what happens, but how we respond. Right. I think it truly makes a difference and separates. So if you were comfortable sharing something that you dealt with in your life, that you overcame, became stronger because of it. Right. What's that look like for you?
Well, it's funny you asked that. I keynote speak a lot, and so I talk about challenges and how you react to things. It's all about how you can get knocked down, but it's how you get back up is the difference there. So I've got a lot of examples in my life. I've made a lot of mistakes. But it's how, and I tend to resort to humor a lot of times because that's one of those things that I do, and our family does that, and that's kind of how I've grown up is in that realm. But at the time, things that weren't very funny, when I was first working at KTCL, I was filling in on a midday shift, and I thought I was all hot stuff because I'm filling in for Mary Moses. Here I am. I get this phone call. I don't know if you're familiar with the band Susie and the Banshees, band from the 80s. That's okay. That's somebody that we played at KTCL. They were in town that night. I had probably the Ogden or Bluebird or something like that. And I have some guy call me on the phone, and he says, hey, I just want to let you know that the Susie and the Banshees show got canceled tonight. The lead singer's got laryngitis. I was like, oh, hey, thanks for letting me know. Appreciate it. Hang up the phone, open up the mic at the next song break and say, just, so you know, the show's canceled tonight for Susie and the Banshees. Lead singer has laryngitis. Don't know anything about, ticket refunds, things like that, but just keep listening.
Sure.
Go to the next song. My boss comes in and he's like, what'd you just do?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, well, I got this phone call. And he goes, who was it? I said, that's great question. I have no idea who called me.
Susie.
And he said, Barry Fay is on the phone. Barry Fay was the concert promoter here in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He said, Barry Fay just called me and said, you canceled the show tonight because the singer has laryngitis. And he said, that is not true. And I thought I was going to lose my job. I had just barely been there.
Yeah.
And this is my dream job, working in radio.
Sure.
So I went back on the air, hey, my apologies, it's on, and I mean, every break I had after that, I talked about how the show was on, because they were, every concert depends on walk-ups if it's not sold out. So if you have somebody saying that it's sold out or that it's canceled,
nobody's gonna walk up and try to get in there.
And so he said, and my boss at that time, big, huge, burly guy, teddy bear of a guy, but if he came in mad, it was bad news.
Right.
And I was like, I don't even make any money there. And he said, Barry said you're gonna have to make up, whatever ticket sales they lose. And I'm like, okay, I'll never get a paycheck for the next year if I do that because I'm making like $5.25 an hour, and I wait tables at CB and Potts, and oh my gosh, I can't pay my bills, and so it was fine. I ended up the next day I came in, talked to my GM Stu, and I thought I was going to get fired, and he said that I should fire you because that and really it was I did no fact checking. I did nothing. And so I learned very early on in my radio career, you always fact check. You always, there's two sides to every story. You don't just take something as it comes. And so I learned a hard lesson from that, which proved to be very good. And I do the same thing with my kids. I'm like, okay, just because you hear something doesn't mean it's true. And now, gosh, that was 1993.
Sure.
Now you have social media. You have so many people that say things, and people are cruel. And not that people weren't cruel back then, because obviously that was a cruel trick some guy played on me. I was like, I'm sure he was listening and going, ha ha, got her, stupid chick.
No.
But yeah, so there was but there's things like that. I look back down, I'm like, oh, and I tell the story in my keynotes, and people laugh, and I'm like, it is funny now.
Right.
Then I was 23, and I thought I was done.
Yeah.
And I thought Barry Fay was going to eat me for lunch, which he could have, because he was the mogul for concerts, and I was like, I'll never have a career. Yeah.
To me, yes.
Is that a good challenge?
It is.
Okay.
And looking back on it, I see the humor, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened, and everything was working out. And obviously that person was playing a prank or something was going on, and I think that that's a good lesson for everybody to learn in life, and there is so much data and so much information that's spit out, even now more so than ever, as you mentioned, with social media and the digital age. Just do your due diligence.
Yes, and that is in our business over and over again. It's like you can't just take, you're entitled.
Yeah.
There's a title policy and it says this, but you got to read it. Don't just.
Correct.
It's not just an email that comes through. It's like, no, you need to read this, and there are exceptions at the bottom, and I want you to look at that. And look at your name matches some guy that owes a whole bunch of money. Let's get that figured out, okay?
Really checking out the details.
Yes.
In real estate and in life, and in most businesses and professionals that are watching this, it is all about the details.
Yes.
Just taking
absolutely.
the time. I think that's a crazy
one extra
story.
step.
That's
all
awesome.
I had to do was make one phone call to the promoter and say, hey, I just got a call. Was that you guys?
Sure.
I didn't even get the guy's name that called me. I just took it at face value, opened up the mic, and canceled the show.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Did you ever find out who it was?
Oh,
or
no.
I was just curious.
I would have loved to have known who it was.
Oh.
And I told the story enough. Maybe someday that person will surface and be like, Sue, I called you this one day, and
just so
you did it. I thought it was great.
That was me. It wasn't great for me at the time.
Mm-mm.
A life lesson, though. A valuable life lesson.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing. It's not easy to do, struggles, things like that, changes that happen, but it is something for everybody, myself included, to learn out there. So let's go into a slightly softer question.
Sure.
Which comes down to it, and this is actually one of my favorites. It's the travel back in time scenario.
Right.
So if you could travel back in time, any age range, and give young Susie a piece of advice, what would you say to yourself?
It's a great question. I probably would say to, keep going for your goals. I have done everything that I have set out to do. I've been there. When I was younger, I thought I could just be done and go to heaven if I worked at KVPI someday. I did that when I was 26. And so I'm like, okay, now I'm at KVPI. What's next? And then it was working at a sports talk radio station. And then it was, well, let me get into TV. I didn't think, and then I'm at 9 News at the top, station in Denver. So I get, so everything that I've been able to look for, and then I'm like, okay, so now what? I mean, I'm in my 40s, and I've just thought I'd hit the pinnacle of where I wanted to be, but I think there's more. So I think it would just be, keep going. Don't think that that's your end all to end all, because who knows when you get there. I mean, I got there way faster than I ever thought I would, but doors, I was always prepared. Luck is when hard work meets opportunity, and so I'd always worked hard to make sure that I was ready for when that opportunity came. So I don't think it's luck. It was I was ready for it, and a door opened up, and there I was. So just to always, and I think young Susie kind of knew that. I always, and it was one of those things where I always hung out with guys. I was people ask, well, what sports did you play in high school? And I'm like, well, I didn't. I was a trainer for the football team, the basketball team, and the track team. And that's how I was around sports all the time.
Wow.
And not that I don't get along with women. I just really happen to get along with men very, very well. And it's worked out well. And it bode well for me later on, because I've been in industries that have been predominantly men. Except for now real estate. It used to be predominantly men when my mom got in, but now it's really flipped, and there's a lot of women that are in here. But I don't know. I never, people have asked me like, oh man, how hard was it, to be in a male-dominated industry? And I'm like, it really wasn't. And my mom went into real estate wanting to have she wanted to start working. It was, she'd had her 2 kids, and she's like, all right, let me start working. And she got into real estate. And it wasn't like, I'm a woman, I'm going to get into RE/MAX, and I'm going to show all those guys what I am. She just did it. And I did it because that's what I wanted to do. And I never even thought about it. I tell people, I'm like, I didn't go into the sports department with all guys and go, yeah, you're all going to respect me.
I got your number.
Yeah, I know more than you. Oh yeah, because I did it. And so I just always knew my stuff. We have mutual respect for each other. I've never had any man talk down to me, act like I wasn't good enough to be in the industry. And so, I'm proud of the fact that I've built up that, respect factor, and it's worked very well. And then to bring it into real estate, that was a good challenge, to be able to bring it into a different industry as well.
Sure.
And especially following in footsteps of my mom, who had just set these, people are like, ooh, man, you got big shoes to fill. I'm like, well, I am not filling them. She's doing her own thing still.
Different shoes.
Totally different shoes.
Yeah.
But, I will not disappoint her legacy. I'll do my best.
I love that, and I think that that's amazing advice to look at, not just for young Susie, but everybody who's watching, myself included. I think that you had mentioned the hard work or preparation meets opportunity as luck. I find that to be extremely truthful. I mean, nothing was handed to you. You have worked and gone through and known and really pushed that envelope to get in the positions that you're in, to do what you do in your life and your career. As you mentioned, in hitting 40, this sort of thing, I mean, this is not the pinnacle. I mean, it's interesting. Careful what you wish for, right? I want this, and I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna work for it, and then it's here. Now
and you're there, and you're like, okay.
Well, now what, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's something for everybody to aspire to, and that's inspirational to a lot of people out there. Is just really, look out for those goals, what you really want out of life. Forget what other people say, and just go after it.
Yeah.
But be prepared to know that if you really work hard and you do have those goals and you're set and you do what you need to do, reverse engineer that out. Here's the goal. Here are the steps I need to take, and you do it and you get it. Be prepared to be pushing yourself further and further in life. And
absolutely.
I find that to be a very commonality between a lot of the real estate titans that are featured on this series. Is there's a heavy level of motivation, work ethic, determination, confidence.
Yeah.
All of you exude those things, but there's a knowledge basis based off of that. You're not just flying by the seat of your pants, and other people that are watching this know that you are a professional in what you do, and you're constantly learning, constantly growing. And as you stated earlier, yourself and your mom, everybody should be learning and growing because it's changing.
Yes.
So I think this is great. I mean, that's huge advice, Susie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So let's go into the one of the actual favorite questions for the audiences out there. It's the feeding of the mind question, because so many professionals want to know what the titans are feeding their minds.
Right.
How are they growing? How are they being innovative and stepping in front of their competitors and really keeping it that way? So I always mention, books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, influencers in social media or coaches.
Sure.
What are you feeding your mind?
Don't read a lot of books. Don't have a lot of time to read a lot of books.
Sure.
One that I did read, though, is Larry Kendall's Ninja Selling from the group. And the Ninja Selling book was a game changer for me. I have not yet taken his Ninja course. I need to. I was supposed to in November and wasn't able to. And I've met with Larry. I've been up to Fort Collins and had coffee with him, and he's amazing. And I think that's also what kind of prompted me to really hyper focus on my people and and then the people that those people know, and just his whole philosophy and kind of the conversations you have with people. And so if you have not read his book, it's a must read. It really is, because that was a game changer for me. Okay. Other than that, I try and I'd like to think that I could get into podcasts like TED Talks and things like that, and I just don't.
Okay.
But I'm a runner, I'm a biker, I do marathons, I do a lot of ultra events, and so I spend a lot of time with headphones in as far as training goes. Okay. And so I do listen to podcasts, but I tend to do Dan Patrick Show so I can stay up on sports. Okay. So I do that in the mornings. The Adam Carolla Show, I've always loved Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew, so I do the Adam Carolla Show. Sometimes Joe Rogan, if I can't, so I try and find podcasts that are like an hour and a half, because I do on my long runs that I do on Sundays when I'm getting ready for a marathon, I need those, I don't want to be stopping and changing things over, and so and I enjoy those because I don't have to think a whole lot, but I also learn a lot about other things that are going on, because I don't have time sometimes to keep up on everything, because we are so busy. And so I keep up on what's going on with music. I try and keep up on the sports as best as I can, because I have my radio show where I need to have some, topics like that. But then I stay so busy with real estate sometimes that I'm like, wait, you bring up your head and you're like, what happened today? Wow. I don't even know. And then you're like, oh, wow, Trump had fast food for everybody at the White House with the Clemson team. All right, okay, cool. And then you're like, oh, whoa, everybody's freaking out about this.
Wow, that's great.
So, but I have and it goes back to the humor thing. Yeah. The sophomoric, sometimes, and you can't, sometimes there can just be too much. And I feel like our minds get way overloaded. So if I can listen to something that makes me laugh and I love podcasts because, sometimes I think I'd like to have one because you can say whatever you want to say, and Adam Carolla definitely says what he wants to say, and so does Joe Rogan for that matter. And so, because we always joke, I've done shows with Dave Logan for a very long time, who's on the air at KOA, and we always joke, we're like, man, if people heard us during the commercial breaks, they would be shocked at our mouths.
Behind the scenes, everybody.
Yeah, so I'm amazed that I have never dropped any kind of a cuss word when a mic has been on. Sure. Then I think, man, that'd be fun to have a podcast. But then I'm like, but then would it ruin my, not that I have this pristine reputation by anything, because people that know me outside of it, they're like, whoa, wow. But yeah, so that's kind of what I listen to and what I do.
And there's a lot in there. I think it's great. You're feeding your mind, but then you're also entertaining, and you're really expanding different parts of your brain. Which, if it's only just strictly business or motivational, you're only working really one side of your entire capacity. So I think that it's great to have a lighter side, whether it's fiction or humor or whatever's going on, and whether it is books physically or podcast or Audible, however you're doing it. I think that's great, and you should have a podcast. Just on a separate note, I think that'd be awesome. I would definitely subscribe.
They want us to do them all the time at iHeart. They're like, anybody wants to do a podcast? They'll give us I have the platform that I could do it on. I don't know. Maybe someday.
You should. I'm a big advocate of it. That was the big, proponent for this particular show. It was about 6 months in. Everybody's like, look, Greg, I love the show. Watch it every Wednesday morning or Saturday morning with my breakfast. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of windshield time. There's a lot of gym time. So I converted this over to podcasts and on iTunes, Spotify,
I love podcasts. Yeah, they're becoming huge. It's the big thing right now.
You should do
it. It is.
So you heard it here first, folks. Everybody, Susie's going to have one shortly sometime.
Yeah, right?
Okay, that was great. And just so everybody knows, as always, I'm going to have all those listed down below in the comments so you can follow and feed your mind the same way that Susie is doing. So, Susie, this has been full of amazing information, chock full of so much takeaways for everybody out here who's watching.
Oh, good. Thank you.
So I want to wrap this whole thing with one final question.
Mm-hmm.
And this really comes down to, if you could sum up your brand, you as a person, a professional in the community, with a quote or a mantra that you might live by, what does that look like for Susie Wargin?
Oh, another good question, Greg. So I don't have I like a lot of different quotes. Mm-hmm. My thing for 2019 was I had read something from Clint Hurdle, who's the manager for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who used to be here with the Colorado Rockies. He puts out a couple of emails every day. One is usually spiritually based. The other one is kind of motivationally based. And one of them that he put out just before the new year was coming up with one word. And he said that they have everybody come up with one word. They all write it on baseballs at the beginning of spring training, and they talk about their one word, all the players do, and that's what they use for the year. And so I was like, okay, one word. And so I started looking up one-word mantras for, because if you get these big ones, sometimes it's hard to remember it.
Sure.
So I'm like,
Right.
one word, I can remember that.
Easy
so
enough.
I've actually come up with 2 words.
All right.
And my 2 words for this year are respect and also focus. And the respect, I felt like I kind of connected with that one because I think there's, and I had somebody, they're like, well, respect, you respect everybody. Like, they're like, you're not disrespectful. And I said, no, it's not so much about me being respectful, but being respectful of people's time, people's situations, just kind of being, and patience can kind of go hand in hand with respect, I think, where that's listening, and something I've, a lot of people aren't very good at. I had to learn how to be good at. You're very good at it. When you are interviewing people, you have to listen. Otherwise, you don't know what your next question is going to be, or they know you're not even listening to the person because you haven't even asked anything based on their last answer. So you've done a very good job of that.
Oh,
Greg,
thank
by the way.
you. Thank
I've
you.
been dissecting your interviewing skills.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
This is a stamp of approval, everybody. That means a lot. Susie.
Yeah,
Seriously,
no,
thank
but
you.
it's true, and as agents, oh my gosh, we have to listen because our clients are people that have concerns and fears, and if you aren't listening to them and respecting their opinion and respecting what they think, we're doing them a disservice. So respect is one of them.
Okay.
Focus is the other because, as you probably guessed, I have my hands in a lot of things, and I do a lot of stuff. And I used to think that I could multitask like the best multitasker ever. I found that multitasking makes you do a worse job at everything. So I'm focusing, and so I try and do, if I can time block my day, I time block into 20-minute time blocks, and I'll say, okay, for this 20 minutes, I'm working on my my real estate emails. For this 20 minutes, my personal emails. For this 20 minutes, I'm gonna go put away Christmas decorations and get up and walk, or something like that, to where I'm trying to be, because then I tend to I keep, too many tabs open on my computer at one time. So then I answer a bunch of emails and I'm like, let me see what Twitter's doing. And so I go around and I'm like, no, get off of Twitter, So, and it's hard because then you start jumping around and then all of a sudden you're commenting and you're doing this and you're like, there's what my time block that I was going to use for this because I think I'm a good multitasker, but you're not. And so if you can do yourself a favor and focus. And so I'm really trying to respect and focus. Those are my 2 for 2019.
I love that. I truly, I think it sums up.
And they make bracelets with 1-word mantras on there, so I'm looking at getting some little bracelets.
So that's going to happen, everybody. And if you're looking for a fun gift for Susie, that might be an idea.
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful way, and a note to take away for everybody here is literally living by those mantras that we all have. And there's some great advice inside there. Again, not just for you and how you live your life, but for everybody who's watching. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes.
Really how it kind of throws down.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. Really just know what you're doing and time block. And a lot of people throw time blocking. I think it really is personal management, not so much time management.
Yeah.
So however you want to break it down, whatever works for everybody out there, just take a lot of this advice to heart and really go after it. So Susie, this has been amazing.
Thank you. This has
Thanks
been fun.
again so
Absolutely.
much. This is super compelling. So you're an official real estate titan. I just want to shake your hand.
Yay, all right. Thank you.
Congratulations on that. So thanks again. And as to everybody, thank you so much for your time and attention, your love and support. Please don't forget to subscribe. Take a look at the podcast as well, or I should say take a listen. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook as well. But as always, we'll be live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon. A different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.